నమస్తే జై హింద్ జై శ్రీరామ్ జై భీమ్ ఇవాళతో మన హిందూ జనశక్తి ఛానల్లో ఉన్నారు మురళీధరన్ గారు. He is an animal welfare activist from Tamil Nadu who's been fighting cases on behalf of all of us Hindus, and the topic that we'll be discussing with him today in this series of interviews with him is regarding the animal welfare he's doing, and today's topic would specifically be about the elephants and the number of cases that Murli ji has been fighting on behalf of all of us in the court and in the Madras High Court courts across India to save the elephants. Welcome to Hindu Jana Shakti channel, Murli Anna. Thank you so much for this. I would like to do a series of interviews with you, and beginning with this first one, if you could please enlighten us about the plight of these elephants and your fight to save our culture and our elephants, please.
Thank you, Prerna, and welcome to all the viewers of your channel. The plight is pretty grim. That's what I would like to say, because elephants can be categorized into 5 different categories. One is start with wild elephants, then we move on to private, temple, zoo, and circus. A circus is like almost extinct. There are hardly any elephants now. But zoos, definitely there are elephants. And to talk precisely, we should, the largest population is in the wild. So we should talk about that first. There are something like 27,000 elephants according to 2017 census. But I differ with the forest department always. So I would discount 30% and say there are only around 20,000 elephants. And the very important aspect of that 20,000 is the male-female ratio, which is 1:20. So we talk about 1,000 odd male elephants who are partners to the 19,000 female elephants. This is the kind of ratio we will go about.
That's a very shocking ratio.
It is not a shocking ratio. That's a nature's ratio. You know, probably it was 1:10 earlier. Probably it become 1:20, but it's still not bad. It's still not bad. This doesn't mean that anything bad is going to happen. But what's happened last 3 years, 2017 to 2020, this 1:20 has become 1:50 in my estimate, because the elephants which die, 70% of the elephants which die are male elephants. That's mainly for poaching, poisoning, electrocution. You see those elephants which died in Kerala with the bomb. Even 2 days back, there was another elephant died. These are with crude bombs. Yeah, crude bombs. So this keeps happening across. So that's the problem. So while the bigger threat to the wild was encroachments, governments after governments, they did not stop encroaching. Each government, I don't know whether you know, I'd like to enlighten the viewers here, that every state has a state wildlife board. Now, this state wildlife board consists of chief ministers, DGPs, and the bureaucrats, to something like 2/3 of that committee, which is around 30 people committee. 2/3 of the committee is filled with these people, and only 1/3 is environmentalists and animal activists. So this is the problem we are going to have. And what I was trying to say is animal activists and environmentalists. So always when there's a vote, it's always get elected in favor of the bureaucrats.
Okay.
So that's the, so if they have to give out a portion of forest land to some industrialization, so they always win that voting pattern. So this is the problem there. So most of the forests are encroached to harmful levels, which means the elephants have something known as the migratory path. That means an elephant from one location has to move on to another location, herd, looking for vegetation, because a herd, when it enters a place, if there is some vegetation for them to eat, that will get over in a few hours. They can wipe out the entire place, because they eat something like, adult elephant will eat something like 250 kilos of greens in a day. So they can wipe out a place within no time. So they need to move on to the other place. So moving from one area to another during looking for food is known as the elephant corridor, right? Yes. And that becomes the elephant corridor through which they move on. these elephant corridors are being used by elephants for thousands of years. So it's the female elephants of the pack who guide them, the senior most female elephant, who will guide them through these elephant corridors from, let's say, from Karnataka to Kerala, Kerala to Andhra, Andhra to Tamil Nadu, etc. So these roots are genetically etched into their brains, you know, for the elephants to carry the entire herd. Now, what happens when you go and obstruct such a corridor? They will try to go around it. That's when the tragedy and all these strike. What happens? They will they end up sometimes, you know, getting killed, trying to cross roads, trying to cross railway tracks, falling from heights, etc. So this is what keeps happening. So this is what
they move
we
in
need
herds,
to be careful
is it?
of. Yeah, they do move in herds. So that's the issue there. Yes. So they move in herds. So and that's where the problem is. So they die in sometimes they mostly ones and twos keep dying. Sometimes the entire herd could get stuck in a railway track and the entire herd can die. So these are the problems we had, and so much of encroachments, and that is driving them. So when the corridors are blocked, when they try to take alternative routes, they end up coming to the human habitat. When they come into the human habitat, into the farmlands, they will start seeing all these crops, like for example, sugarcane, corn. Now these are tasty stuff which for the elephants, so they start feasting on them. And post which, since the food is free and easy for access, they refuse to get out of the place. That's the time forest departments try to chase them, etc. So because of these encroachments, etc., and there's a lot of harmfulness which is happening in the wild, that a lot of people go on picnic into the wild and they have liquor and they break the liquor bottles there, and those liquor bottles hurt these elephants. You know, there are ways in which, like 7 different ways in which they die, like from electrocution to getting hit by trains, getting poisoned, poached. You talk about, yeah, and these bombs, which are wild boar traps, which they use, the probe bombs. So there are many ways in which they get really killed, these elephants. So, so because of that, the earlier you take the number of elephants which die earlier, which used to be something like 300 elephants in a year. So something like one or two elephants a day. That's the kind of death happening. But today, what is happening because of all these encroachments and loss of habitat, we are losing something like 2 to 3 or 4 elephants a day. Now that's huge jump. So we're talking about something like 1,500 elephants death every year. Now, not just the elephant death, it's also the human death associated with it. Close to 1,500 people lose their lives because of the human-elephant conflict. Now, that's another problem which government is supposed to address with the Project Elephant initiative, and it's not getting addressed. So that's also happening. And then lots of killing of elephants happen. One is for tusks, as we know, and these are gets hidden. This information do not even come to the press because recently they caught a man with 600 pairs of tusks in Hosur, okay, near Bangalore. And yeah, so the question we need to ask is, if he has killed 600 elephants in the last probably 5 to 10 years time, and where are the carcasses of these elephants? Because we keep hearing elephants' death, like, you know, it has died of worms in the colon, it has died of fighting with another elephant. These are things which keep hearing, but we never come across an elephant where it is killed after tusk being removed. So what happened to these carcasses? That's a big question, right? So obviously,
it might not be easy to hide these as well, right? Like
exactly.
The carcass and the skeleton.
Yeah, it's a huge body, and it stink for kilometers. You know, they can stink for kilometers. So these bodies are being buried. The use of JCB, which is the earth movers, and by, I would say, forest department themselves. So the forest department is hand in glove with all this poaching, which is a known fact. You know, even the small bombs we're talking about, the wild boar traps due to which the Kerala elephant died some 2 months ago. All these are happening because all this cannot happen without the support of the forest department. So they are also accountable for all these days. So This is the reason why we're not able to save them. So this is keep happening, and as I said, the male-female ratio has dropped something like 1:50. That is the danger, because of this, what you need to understand is male elephant will come out of its herd to mate. It will never mate within the herd to avoid inbreeding. So this is a nature's gift. So whenever a male elephant attains the age of mating, it gets out of the herd, starts going out and start mating with other females. Even then, the female has to agree. If the female does not agree, the male elephant cannot mate. So there is no question of rape out there. So it is a mutual acceptance. For that, it could take months. So the male elephants are normally, when they get into the must, which happens once in twice a year or so, which lasts for 2 to 3 months. That's why it becomes very difficult to control male elephants. And that skill exists mainly only in Kerala and in Assam. And most of the parts, it's a dying art. The Mahoutri itself is a dying art. Handling a male elephant, it's extremely difficult. It is not as easy as having a female elephant. Having a female elephant is like having a Labrador dog at home. You know, a male elephant is as bad as a Rottweiler or a pit bull. So it's difficult art. So we have all these art only present in Kerala right now. Now, coming back to the forest, the ratio of 1:50 means half of the female elephants are not going to get impregnated. So the forest department guys may come and argue with us saying that, no, there are 20,000 elephants, even if 1,000 are dying a year, it will take 20, 30 years to, all of them to die. No, that's not the point. The point is there is no second generation going to get created. So the extinction will be faster than what you can think of. So this is a huge alarm bell, which nobody is addressing. We have been screaming. Whenever we get an incident, we go to the court, we fight the case, etc. We are comfortable with the High Court for simple reason. The amount of money we give to the lawyers is much lower compared to what we would shed out if we go to Supreme Court. Supreme Court is a bigger affair, expensive lawyers, and you will have your opposition lawyers who are like senior counsels walking in, who could even charge 10 lakh rupees for one 10-minute appearance. So it's very difficult to hire you. So for a common man, for his voice to be heard in Supreme Court, I mean, it costs a lot of money. So that's the reason we don't fight too many cases in Supreme Court, though we have one or two cases which are defending or not defending. We are like, we are the, what do you say? I mean, yeah, we're not the complainants. We actually, one or two we are defending, one or two we are complainants. So it's not many cases. So that's what's happening. Now, that's the plight of your wild elephants, which nobody is worried of. You'll never see a PETA or a Human Society or any other Indian animal rights organization funded by the foreigners coming and fighting for this. You'll never see them. But when it comes to private elephants, temple elephants, you'll see a score of them coming and trying to attack your culture. Now let's talk about the temple elephants. Temple elephants, there are, if you take a state like Tamil Nadu, we have close to some 35 temple elephants. Now, animal rights activism has poked their nose into something which they do not understand or know. Similar to Jallikattu, I would say. Or if you want to relate it to Andhra, there is a rock race in Ongole. I don't know whether you heard of it, okay, where the Ongole bulls will be tied to a rock and they need to pull it. And whichever pair of bulls which are going to run faster and drag the stone will be labeled as the winner, and they'll be given prizes. So this is a culture which Ongole understands. Not many Andhrites also know about it. So, but it's a culture.
Festival that is celebrated.
Yeah, it's all Shankranti related, just like Jallikattu. So not many people also know about this, but this is some tradition. This is see what's happening today. The bulls have no commercial value, right? There are tractors, there are earth movers, there are trucks. So the bulls do not play the part which they used to play 15, 20 years ago in the fields, right? And so that's the problem we have with the bulls in the field. And we'll take a break here. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Anna. In our next episode, I would like you to speak to us a little bit more about the elephants and especially the foreign animal rights activists like PETA, who are actually ignoring the fact that these temple elephants belong to us and are an integral part of our culture. If you could enlighten us a little bit more about this in our forthcoming episodes, we'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.